everybody. Good evening, and welcome to GH Gospel Radio. And this is your show, Let's Talk Marriage. And I'm your girl, Dr. EFUA ADU-GYAMFI. It's exciting to be here again tonight. And tonight's topic is one that you really need to pay attention, because if you don't, you're going to miss the point. And what we're going to talk about is the Martha syndrome. And I'm sure right now you're wondering, what's the Martha syndrome? What is this lady trying to say? Yes, that's why you have to put on your seatbelt and come along with me. Let's dissect what the Martha syndrome is. And then when we are done, we'll be able to take one or two cues from it to be able to do better moving forward. And when I talk about the Martha syndrome, I'm especially referring to women, because Martha was a woman. And it's no other Martha than the one in the Bible, the one whose sister was Mary, and the one that Jesus came to visit. So I will just read a little bit of their story so that you know that it's not me saying what I like, but it's actually well recorded in the Bible. In a few minutes, I'm going to get the link and share it. So I will just be gone for a little bit, or I will just be distracted for a little bit, but please pardon me. Okay, so the Martha syndrome. How did this whole issue of Martha come into play? The whole story is in Luke 10, verse 38 to 42, and I'm reading from the New Living Translation. Okay, and the topic says, Jesus visits Martha and Mary. As Jesus and his disciples continued on the way to Jerusalem, they came to a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. Her sister Mary sat at the Lord's feet, listening to what he taught, but Martha was distracted by the big dinner she was preparing. She came to Jesus and said, "Lord, doesn't it seem unfair to you that my sister just sits here while I do all the work? Tell her to come and help me." But the Lord said to her, "My dear Martha, you are worried and upset over all these details. There is only one thing worth being concerned about. Mary has discovered it, and it will not be taken away from her." Amen. So that's the nice little story that we have tonight. And that sort of explains the Martha issue. But let me just take a minute to break it down. When I say the Martha syndrome, please bear with me for a minute. I will be sharing the link, and I will be right with you. Yes, the Martha syndrome. Yes. Yes. So when I talk about the Martha syndrome, I am just looking at whatever happened at this visit of Jesus to Martha's home. Whenever we talk about chores and helping people in the home, a lot of times the discussion goes left. So let me just put this disclaimer out there. This is not a post about feminism, or this is not a post about women rebelling, or women saying, "Oh, we don't want to be women anymore," or we want to share, we want to do exactly what men are doing. No, this is us women having an honest conversation about something that is important to us. And tonight in particular, I'll be talking to women the most. But we also need the support of the men. So as you are available, please listen up, please share your views, because it's when you give us feedback that we know what is going on. Okay, so the simple explanation for Martha syndrome is just that we saw that Martha invited Jesus into her home. Jesus is not asked to be invited. Mary did not suggest to Martha to invite Jesus. She invited Jesus by herself. And she decided how to welcome Jesus. She was the one who decided to go ahead and make Jesus whatever big meal or whatever preparation that she was making. And that is one aspect of the Martha syndrome. We as women, we as wives, we have a mindset of how to be a good wife. And sometimes we don't even know where that mindset came from. But what we are saying is that if you feel burdened by the decisions that you have taken to take care of people or how to be a wife, and you feel burdened by the things that you yourself believe you should do, that is like putting a burden on yourself. And that's what I call, that's one aspect of the Martha syndrome. You yourself decide to do something for whatever reason, and then you are burdened by it, and you turn around to accuse everybody around you for not helping you or for making you feel burdened. You are forgetting that you made that decision by yourself. Nobody sent you to do whatever you're doing. And yet now you're being resentful, you're bitter, you are angry, you are feeling used. Meanwhile, nobody sent you. You're suffering from Martha syndrome right there. The second part of Martha syndrome is expectations from the society around you. And in a sense, this is evidenced by the fact that you want outside affirmation to the extent that you want people around you to see you as a good wife or a good woman, so to speak. So society has its own ideals and its own, whatever society you come from, they may have their own ideas or their own expectations of who a good woman should be. And if you are the type of person who is not able to have a mind of your own and be able to say that this is what I want, and I'm okay if society does not approve of me, as long as I'm not doing anything evil, as long as I'm not causing harm to my family or to my husband, I decide to do what is right for me and my family in my home. I wouldn't let whatever other people say affect me. Because guess what? There are really two people in your marriage. And we are talking about Christian marriages here. We are not focusing on any other kind of marriage. We are mainly focusing on Christian marriages here. And for every Christian marriage, there are three people: yourself, God, and your partner. Those are the three people that you need to listen to, you need to pay attention to, and they are the three people whose opinions or whose wants or whose desires matter in your marriage. So God's opinion matters in your marriage, your partner's opinion matter in your marriage, and your own opinion and your health matters in your marriage. Outside of these three, yourself, your partner, and God, everything else is arbitrary. You can choose to accept it or choose to reject it. And in any case, anything that is coming from outside should be judged by you, your husband, and the word of God. If it doesn't fit all three, there may be a problem somewhere. Somebody is being cheated, somebody is being wronged, and something is going wrong somewhere. So if anything coming from outside does not favor you, does not favor your husband, is not pleasing to God, you have every right to throw it out. And sometimes it's difficult for women to accept or endure the fact that society doesn't approve of them. That's a really dangerous place to be. Not being able to accept that somebody doesn't approve of your choices, but then they are your choices and you're going to live with them anyway, irrespective of anybody inside your union. If you're not able to hear people insult you and move on or look away, if you always want to please people, that is part of the Martha syndrome. So I just said that the Martha syndrome has two main parts: your own expectations and then society's expectations. To be honest with you, not all the expectations of society may be wrong, but the most important thing is it should matter to you. It shouldn't be something that is forced on you, and it shouldn't be something that you think if you do, other people will be happy with you. You are not in your marriage to please other people. You are in your marriage to please God, to serve your husband, and for you yourself to be happy. And I'm not saying serve your husband as in to be a slave to your husband. You are in a marriage so that your husband is in agreement with you. You are in agreement with your husband, and you know that what both of you are doing is pleasing to the Lord. So in short, the Martha syndrome just has two parts: having too high expectations of yourself such that you are overburdened. And number two is allowing outside influences, outside of God, outside your partner, outside of yourself, to dominate in your marriage. That is the Martha syndrome. So I hope we all understand the concept of the Martha syndrome, and therefore we will be able to examine the actual issue, and we'll all be able to have this discussion. If you're on Facebook, you can put in your questions, you can put in your comments so that we can all have a two-way chat. I don't want to be talking here by myself. Please help me out. Share with me, give me feedback, and let's have this discussion. Okay, so now let's examine the facts. We already said that it was Martha who invited Jesus into her home, right? So it was Martha's decision to have Jesus in her home. Good. Okay, so the second part is that it was Martha who decided how to welcome Jesus. Of course, she could have given Jesus a glass of water, and that might have been enough. But she decided to put on all kinds of things. How do I know? Jesus said, hello, Mr. Biney. It's so good to have you here. You're welcome. Yes. And it was Martha who decided how to serve Jesus. Nobody told Martha, do A, B, C. Martha herself decided, this is how I want to welcome Jesus. Nobody gave her the instructions. She herself put on the work. So as women, we need to, okay, so let's move on. We'll finish talking about what Martha did, and then we'll learn a few lessons from there. The third thing is that she was irritated. I don't want to say Martha was angry at Jesus. That sounds a bit much, right? But to be honest, whatever the reason was, she was not happy with Jesus at all. And to the extent that she didn't even address Mary directly, she actually reported her to Jesus straight away. And her question to Jesus was, so Jesus, doesn't it seem wrong to you that my sister has left me to do all the work? So, of course, she's already angry with her sister for not helping her. And then she's angry at Jesus for not saying anything. Martha, nobody sent you. And yet you are angry at your guest, and you are angry at your sister. She didn't send you. Jesus didn't send you. Nobody sent you. Why are you angry? Okay. The fourth thing is that I'm thinking that Martha felt like there was a certain way to welcome Jesus that was proper. I'm thinking that she felt like giving Jesus maybe just a glass of water and then just sitting with him was not enough. And I'm thinking that she didn't come up with the idea by herself. I'm thinking that there was a way to welcome people that everybody in her society sort of went with. And they knew that if you're a guest in somebody's house, this is what they should do for you. They should be able to maybe wash your feet, bring you water, bring you bread and maybe serve it nicely. You know the way we do whenever you go to somebody's house, they'll bring out a tray, bring out some side plates, get you some small chops, get you a drink, maybe get you some water, and then serve it on a tray, or maybe serve a meal. Whichever way they did it, I know just like in our day, there was a similar protocol. Like the society they were in had this format or had this procedure that was usual that they used to welcome visitors. So Martha felt like this is something I have to do, not because she herself had made the rules, but she knew those were the rules in her society. And it mattered to her that she fulfill it, just so Jesus will not think she's a bad hostess, or Jesus will not think that, oh, this woman just invited me for nothing. She had to make sure that societally she had done the things that were necessary, or she had done what was befitting for Jesus. So in this instance, maybe whatever she had chosen to do was the norm, something that the society had arranged, and they were not forcing it down anybody's throat, but she felt that this is what is expected of me. So I need to fulfill this so that I will not be called a bad woman, so that I will not seem like I don't know what I'm doing. So societal pressure was part of the equation, I strongly believe. All right, so what can we learn from this? I think that the first thing that as a woman or as a wife, you need to address or understand is that you need to manage your own expectations. I know that from where I come from, if you have a new baby, you need to bathe the baby like twice a day. You need hello, Sister Amma, welcome. I see your question. You said, what makes someone a bad woman? Okay, so you give me a few minutes. Let's go through hey, hi sis, welcome. Nice to have you on. I'll be waiting for your questions. Yeah, so let me finish talking about the lessons from the Martha story, and then we will go to your question. Sister Amma says, what makes somebody a bad woman? We will come back to it really quick. Yeah. So we did say that Martha had expectations for herself. She herself had an idea in her mind of what she should be as a woman, or as a wife. Well, Martha wasn't married at the time, so I cannot apply wife to her, but I can apply woman to her. And the thing is that our own expectations of ourselves sometimes put us in trouble. Like I was saying, in the society where I come from, when you have a new baby, you have to bathe the baby in the morning and in the evening, and you have to do laundry all the time. You have to massage the baby, or you have to massage the baby's head. There are so many procedures. And so if you decide not to do that, or you decide to just put your baby in a small basin and bathe her for like 20 minutes, like make sure she's washed and cleaned, put a diaper on, oh, you're a bad woman. You should have massaged the head. You should have put three types of cream. You should have stretched them. It's like the expectations are huge. And, those expectations fit into the lives of people way back, because most of them had help. Whenever you had a new baby, they'll send somebody to come and live with you. They'll find you somebody to bathe your baby, so you are not even the one bathing the baby. There'll be somebody cooking for you. So all those things fit in that particular society. But if you are by yourself and you have to do everything by yourself, it is not realistic that you say that as a woman, as a mother, this is how I should bathe my baby. So whether I have help or not, I'm going to go through all this. No, you need to manage your own expectations. You need to come to the table. You're an adult, you're a woman, you're a born-again Christian. You have the Holy Spirit as your guide. You are in a good position to make a decision for yourself that this is appropriate, this is good enough. You don't always have to carry in your head some huge expectations of yourself that will make you so stressed out and tired. You decide in your home what it is you want to do. I remember when my children were very little, they are close in age, and so I was always tired. And one woman told me I need to serve my husband's dinner at the dining table. And when she said that, I just laughed in my head. I didn't tell her I was not going to do it, but I knew that it was too much for me to handle. Hello, Kenneth. Good evening and welcome. Welcome. I'll be expecting your questions soon. You're welcome. Yeah, so I knew that it wasn't something I couldn't add to my plate. Not because serving your husband dinner is wrong. It's not wrong. But when I looked at my situation and the fact that my hands were full, I was not ready to add something else to it. In fact, when it was meal time, I even called my husband to come and help me feed the kids. You feed this one, I feed this one. You do this, I do this. Help me. So there was no extra time for me to go back and serve my husband's food on the table. And it was a phase in our lives. The attention I was giving him had to reduce because I couldn't keep up. So I had to manage my expectations. I like to serve him his food, and it's cute, it's nice. I like it, he likes it. But when my hands were full with children, the children needed me more. And it's not like a lot of men will say, oh, women, when they have children, then they want to neglect their husbands. It's not like that. In fact, life has changed. And when you don't have help, there are certain things you need to offload the non-essential tasks so that you will be able to handle the essential tasks. Time changes. When your kids grow older, you can go back to doing all that. But don't make it set in stone that as a woman, this is what I should do. As a woman, this is how I should go about this. You need to be able to assess your situation, know what works for you, and do that. So manage your own expectation. Don't put extra burdens on yourself, because when you put extra burdens on yourself and you are overly tired, you be just like Martha. You start complaining about your spouse, you start complaining about your children, you start complaining about everybody, and deep down in you, you are angry and resentful because you're tired all the time, you feel overburdened, and you have to find somebody to blame. It's not by force to keep piling expectations on yourself, especially when you know that you don't have the energy to complete it. Just manage your expectations. Make sure you are assessing your situation correctly and doing the best you can in the situation. Stop marking yourself down because you are not able to do everything that you expected to do. Know that for whatever resources that you have, assess yourself. Do the best you can. Don't try to kill yourself. Don't try to overburden yourself. That will be self-inflicted pain, and that will make you resent your husband. He didn't send you to go do anything. You have decided to do your own thing, and now he gets to suffer because you are angry and you're overburdened. So manage your expectations, assess your own situation, and don't put too much on yourself. Don't carry on your plate more than you can handle reasonably. So the second part is keep it simple and meaningful. To be honest, when Jesus went to Martha's house, it would have been so rude that Martha would be like, oh, Jesus is here, let's all sit down and talk. No, Martha couldn't do that. But the thing is that Martha could have kept it simple. Instead of having a full routine and having all sorts of things to do, she could have kept it simple by serving Jesus like a glass of water and maybe having some small chops, or even if it was only a glass of water that she had, she could have just given the glass of water. Or if she expected to give Jesus a meal, she didn't need to go all out and do all kinds of things. She needed to keep it simple and everything would have been fine. But no, Martha didn't keep it simple. I know that in Martha's head, Jesus is a great man. Everybody's looking to have Jesus in their home. So if she has had the privilege of having Jesus in her home, she needs to go all out and make it count. But having Jesus in your home, the most important thing wasn't the food. The most important thing was you have this man who is full of all this anointing and full of all this good news that people are coming to listen to. Most of the people who came to Jesus were either coming to listen and learn because they've heard that he was a great teacher, or they were going to listen and criticize because they thought he was a fake man and therefore they wanted to expose him. So in actual fact, when people went to Jesus, they were going to listen. But Jesus came to Martha, and Martha decided this is an all-out affair. Let's focus on the food. Martha missed that sense. She didn't keep it simple. She put her focus in the wrong place. Instead of focusing on Jesus and listening to him like most people did to Jesus, she decided, let's focus on the food and let's focus on serving Jesus. But it didn't work out really well for her. Okay, so in any case, you need to keep it simple, keep it meaningful. Don't miss the purpose for the meeting. So instead of focusing on food when you meet Jesus, focus on what Jesus carries. Focus on what everybody does when they see Jesus. Listen to him. And this is not only pertaining to Jesus, right? It pertains to everything. In any situation where you find yourself, focus on what is important. Keep it simple, make it meaningful. Focus on what is important. I cannot count the number of times that women have been at a powerful crusade, powerful conference, and our focus is the food. Our focus is how to share their food. To be very honest, food is a very important of any successful event. But for the most times, people even carry their own food. People have avenues to find food or whatever it is. Make sure that the event that you're attending, you plan ahead or you hire other people to cook. You cannot have a powerful conference and your focus is only the food. It's not that food is important, but make sure that this conference is about the word of God, is about a particular topic. Make sure that throughout the conference, your whole time is not spent on food. If the food that you are provided is going to take the whole day such that you will not be able to partake in the conference, you're doing something wrong. We did not come here to eat. We came for a conference. On the other hand, if we're having a dinner party, food is a main item. So a lot of focus has to go into the food. If you're taking care of your children, making time for them is the most important thing. Not how perfectly you're able to keep your home, not how perfectly you're able to arrange things. In fact, when you have little kids, your home is never arranged because whatever you put anywhere, they'll bring it down. What you actually do is that you start taking things away. By the time your kids start crawling, you take some things away. When they start walking, you take other things away. When they start running about, you take other things away. By the time you're away, your home is as bare as it can be. Why? The focus now is not for your home to look nice and inviting. The focus now, while your kids are young, is for them to be happy and healthy and for you to be able to take care of them safely. So this is not the time to be buying glass and displaying stuff that could hurt your kid. So in every situation, it's important that you focus on what is more important. There are situations that food is the most important thing, and there are situations that something else is the most important thing. Don't make a cookie cutter approach that, as for a woman, your job is to take care of the food. So wherever you go, you pay attention to the food and neglect the purpose for which you were there. The men are there, they are partaking, they are taking advantage. You are stuck in the kitchen taking care of the food. If the main event is not the food, don't waste your time on the food. Make sure that whatever the main event is, you are able to do the food, but the focus is on the main event. I think I've spoken enough. Let's move on to the next one. The next thing we can take away from the Martha syndrome is that we need to stop making rules for other people, especially other women. This one I cannot overstretch it. The point that a lot of times, please give me a second to adjust the sunlight a minute. Give me a second. I will be right back. Yes, let's continue. Yes, the fact that we need to stop making rules for other people. The society that I'm from, a lot of people make it their business. They'll tell you that it takes a village to raise children. It takes a village to watch out for each other. They will make rules for you. Some people will come and whisper in your ears, as a woman, you shouldn't do this. As a woman, you should do this. As a woman, and the list is endless. As this is how to wrap your baby properly. No matter what your decision is, and no matter how you have decided to wrap your baby, somebody will come. No, 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 no. This is not how to wrap a baby. Wrap hair like this. Another time, no, 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 this is not how to dress your baby. Or no, 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 this is not how to treat your husband. No, 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 this is not how to cook your food. Please, if you are fond of making rules for other people, I am begging you by the mercies of God, stop. When people need your advice, they will come to you. And we need to remember that we are all different people. What works for you may not work for somebody else. And you must trust that for the person to come this far, for God to entrust somebody with a particular partner or a particular child, God knows that that person, He has equipped that person enough to take care of whatever child or whatever husband. And as an adult, you need to decide for yourself what works for you and your family. So those of you going around every day, you have a suggestion for somebody. No, you shouldn't do it this way. You should do it that way. Unless it's an emergency that if you don't speak up, somebody will die. Please keep your information to yourself. I'm sure that you are making a comment, you tried it and it didn't work out and you learned from it. So let the person also try it. That's how we learn. Stop imposing your ideas and your wishes and your wants on other people. Please allow younger people to be free, unless it's an emergency. And I know that for the most part, most of us mean well. Most of us want the best for the other people. But you see, learning is a process. Nobody starts out knowing everything. And when you dictate to somebody everything they need to know, you're not helping them. Everybody learns differently. So you need to give them the time. You need to give them the space so that they can figure out things for themselves. They may make a few mistakes in the beginning. They may not be perfect in the beginning, but that's okay. Unless it's an emergency, unless the person is inviting. There are a lot of people that will ask you when they need advice. And there are a lot of people, when you start sharing advice, they will encourage you to share more. Those are the people you should mentor. Those are the people you should give advice to. Those are the people you should help. If you start talking to somebody, if you start trying to advise somebody about something that you know for sure is not going to end well, and they give you negative feedback, or they give you the attitude that no, they really don't want this, please back off. Advice is not by force. If you advise somebody and they don't like it, leave them alone. God has left you alone to make all your decisions, the wrong ones, the good ones. How much more you, human being? You cannot leave somebody alone to live their life. The beauty of being an adult is being able to make choices and decisions for yourself and learn along the way. You're not going to be perfect. So those of you pushing ideas on people, please slow down. Please slow down. Unless it's an emergency, unless somebody is dying, unless the situation is irredeemable and that you have to jump in, please hold back. And if you try to help and the person says, no, you cannot help me. Even in medicine, if somebody is dying and they say, don't touch me, don't help, you need their permission to help them. So if you try to help and they say, no, back off, please respect their adulthood and back off. When they need advice and they feel like they can have answers from you, they'll come and ask you. If they don't ask you, please leave them alone. Or if you think you really, really, really must say something, try saying something. But if they push back, that's your sign that you should leave them alone. They are allowed to make mistakes. And it's not like you hate them, but sometimes it becomes burdensome. It feels like people want to force people to live their lives their way. God doesn't force anybody. So you, human being, please stop trying to make people live like you. That was a long rant, right? Yep. So the second one, we've already talked a little, the third one or the fourth one, whichever one, I lost track by ranting so much. But that's what we just said, that you should update your expectations to fit the situation. The first one was that you should have reasonable expectations of yourself. And then this fourth one is saying that you should update your expectations to fit your situation. Times change and people change. So if what you thought 4 or 5 years ago is no longer like that, or your situation has changed, don't act like life is set in stone. So this is what I must do. Because when we look at Martha was used to serving her guests, right? And a lot of times when people came to her home, they were ordinary guests. But Jesus was different. Jesus was somebody that everybody wanted to listen to. So at the point that Jesus was in Martha's house, the most important thing to do was to listen to Jesus. But Martha was stuck in the frame of, when visitors come, you go all out and serve them. And when important visitors come, you go ahead and put in a lot of the details. She needed to have updated her mindset, or to updated her expectations, so that as Jesus came, she will still not be stuck on visitors equals food. She would know that this visitor is different, and this situation requires that I listen to him. So you just prepare ahead of time, or just bring him something simple but fitting to the situation, but still make sure that the focus is not on the food. So we need to update our expectations to fit the situation. Maybe you're somebody who loves a clean home, everything in order. When you have young kids who are below 5 years old, they do not care and they do not understand. They will leave their toys on the floor. If you want to keep that mindset that my home should always be well arranged and my home should be perfect, trust you me, you're setting up yourself to fail, and you are setting up yourself to be burnt out and to be stressed out. If people come to your home and they complain that your home is messy, if your husband comes home and is asking questions, why is this place so messy? Why are toys lying around? Remind him, please, you have children. If people don't like your home when there are toys lying around, nobody's saying be dirty, but be reasonable. the way your home looked when you were single, it's not going to look the same way when you have children under 5 years old. Accept that sometimes your home will be messy. Not messy as in dirty, but messy as in there will be things lying around. There will be toys lying around. Somebody may put something somewhere. You need to come to the acceptance that your life has changed. So you need to update your expectations. If your wife was feeding you dinner, was serving you dinner nicely, update your expectations. You have small children. She wants to do it, but there's no time. So update your expectations to meet wherever you are in life. Another part that I would like to add to this discussion is that when we talk about the Martha story, in fact, somebody alerted me to the fact that a lot of women use church as an excuse, and especially when we bring up the Martha story, they want to say that because Jesus told Martha that Martha, you're worried about many things and many details, but Mary has found what's important and it will not be taken away from her. They are interpreting that to mean that as long as you are doing church work, as long as you are serving in church, it's okay to neglect your home. My sister, if this is your mindset, then it means you have not read the Bible properly. Because the same Jesus who told Martha that she doesn't need to be worried about the many details, and that Mary had chosen what was good or what's most important. That same Bible will tell you that you need to take care of your family. There's a verse that says that the one who is mean to their family members is worse than an unbeliever. I'll find it one of these days and bring it. And I'm sure when I Google around, I'll find that verse. You are a Christian first in your home. If you are not being a good Christian in your home, there's only one word for you. You're a hypocrite. The church members that you are going to serve, and I know that when you go to church, it's not the pastor you are going to serve. You are maybe performing a function that will serve the church members. The church members that you are going to serve, are they more important than your own family? Remember that your family is the people that God has directly put in your hands to take care of. People in church, they are people that God has put in other people's hands to take care of. So if you are not done taking care of the people in your household and you want to go and serve in church because scripture is more important than being busy about details, my sister, you are misunderstanding. If you are not a good Christian in your own home, you are not a good Christian anywhere else. What you are is a hypocrite. What you are is somebody who has misplaced priorities. Please be a good Christian in your home first. Everything in moderation, everything in a balanced way. It's not okay to use church as an excuse for not helping your children, for not taking care of your children, for not taking care of your husband. Life happens in stages. That's why the Bible says that remember your Creator in the days of your youth before the weary days come. As a young person, as a single person, as a young person who is between the ages of 12 and 21, that is your cocoa season to serve and serve very well in church. That is your church season. When you are married, that is your marriage season. Your mission field has now become your family. Your family comes first before you go out to church. So if it means that your lifestyle can only accommodate Sunday church service or maybe one other midweek service, Or even if you are not able to attend midweek service, but at least you can go for Sunday service and maybe join one prayer line or something. Keep it simple, keep it balanced. Don't make excuses with church. And to be very honest with you, you don't serve God in church. Church is for fellowship. So if you're spending all your life in church, you're being a hypocrite. You don't even have time to serve God. How do you serve God? By sitting in church? No. Church is for fellowship, to meet each other, to encourage each other as Christians. When you're done, go into the world. It is in the world that there are unbelievers that you need to minister to. In the world that there are people who need your help. And it starts from your home. If you cannot be a good Christian at home, you are not a good Christian anywhere. You're just a hypocrite. You need to pay attention to the seasons of your life and act accordingly. When you are single, go all out and spend all your time for God as much as you can. Maybe you have a job, you go to work as much as you can. Spend your time for God. When you are married, your family becomes priority. Don't neglect your family and go and be in church and do all kinds of things in church. And then you claim that, oh, the church is good. Jesus Christ told Martha that she's worried about details. No, you are doing the wrong thing. But if that's your choice, I have no right to tell you otherwise. It's up to you to decide if you want to go that way. But from the way I see it, if you're not a good Christian at home, you're not a good Christian anywhere. You're just being a hypocrite. When you are married, your home is your mission field. Help your children, help your family, help your husband, help yourself. And then if you are able, that will be your secondary priority. Be as involved as you need to be in church. Stop using church as an excuse not to help your family. It's a sin. I can boldly tell you that, but that's up to you to decide. So I'm going to leave it right there. Okay, so after talking about overburdening ourselves with chores and the expectations that society has for us, we cannot just say it and ignore the fact that our husbands, the men, play a big role in all of this. A lot of women suffer because their husbands refuse to help out in the home. And every time this issue comes up, many people are quick to jump in and say that if you're a woman, it's your job and you have to be able to handle things in a way that does not require that your husband helps. And some men will also say that, so do you want me to quit my job so that I can come and sit at home and help you? Both answers are wrong. To be very honest with you, there are some roles that are easier for women. And a lot of times it's easier if the woman does it. But every woman is different and every home is different. So whatever works for you in your home, that's what you should do. The other thing is that the society that I come from, they see it as this is a woman's job, so only the woman should do it. Even if the woman is tired, even if the woman is struggling, they expect the woman to be able to carry it on and do it all by herself. And especially for that comment of, do you want me to quit my job? Hello, Francis, you are welcome. You put together 1 Timothy 3 verse 4 to 5. Let me check that one. What does 1 Timothy 3 verse 4 to 5? Let's see. 1 Timothy 3 verse 4 to 5. Yes, Francis, we'll soon see what you are saying. Hey, this one is good. It says he must manage his own household well with all dignity, keeping his children submissive, For if someone does not know how to manage his own household, how would he take care for God's church? Oh, Francis, thank you so much. You found the verse. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. So everybody, this is our watchword for those who say that it is better to serve in church than to serve at home. This is your verse right here. If you are not managing your home, if you are not managing your household well with all dignity, not anyhow, with all dignity, if you are not keeping your children in check, and then you want to go and manage church, my sister and my brother, in fact, he said him, even the men are involved here. Manage your home very, very, very well before. Oh, and Sister Amma said that her grandmother is watching from Switzerland. What's your grandma's name? I want to greet her. Hello, Grandma. Thank you for watching. Yes. So the Bible is saying that manage your own. Her name is Grandma Mamisewa. Grandma Mamisewa, thank you, thank you, thank you for tuning in. We hope you will join us this every Sunday at 6 p.m. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Grandma Mamisewa, thank you for coming on. Yes. So Brother Francis just pulled the verse for us. 1 Timothy 3, verse 4 to 5. Don't use church as excuse. Your mission field is your home when you are married. And what we were talking about before the verse came in was that women have expectations. Women need help from men, especially in societies where it's not easy or it's not affordable to get extra help. We know that the societies that we're coming from, sometimes it's easier to get help because many of your family members are around, and some of them can easily come and live with you and help you out with certain things, so that you also in turn help them back, so that it's you help me, I help you, and it works well for everybody. But in a lot of societies, that is not possible, especially when you live outside of Ghana. That is almost impossible. And especially when you're living in the US, you're living in Europe, you're living in wherever, it's hard to get help. So it's important that the men pitch in. And when we say the men should pitch in, we are not saying that, yes, men should cook and clean just as women cook and clean. Please listen to us and listen to us clearly. What we are saying is that it's important that you yourself, you know how to cook, you know how to clean, and you know what is going on in the home, so that in case your help is needed, in case the woman is too tired to continue, in case the woman has reached her breaking point, you can step in and help. When you talk to a lot of men, they'll say that, oh, we are all for helping out. But when you ask them further, do you know how to cook? They will say no. Do you know how to clean? They will say no. Do you know how to do laundry? They'll say no. So that you are willing to help, what are you willing to do? You are like a farmer who goes to the farm without a cutlass. You are available, you are willing, but you are not helpful because you don't have the tools that it takes. If your wife is a person in your family who does most of the cooking, we are not saying she should split the cooking down the middle with you. What we are saying that be willing that if she's sick, if she has to go for class, if she has to travel, if she is unavailable in any way, you are ready and willing and fully equipped to step in. We are not saying that stop your job and come and sit at home and start doing all the cooking. All that is unnecessary. When you say such things, you're being defensive and your heart seems like it's not in the right place. Please, when we ask you to help, we are not saying that we've stopped doing what we are doing. Come and take over. That's not what we are saying. We love what we do, but especially when the kids are very young or in other special occasions, we are just unable to do that. Can you please learn the skills that are needed? Be committed to learning the skills that are needed, so that when you're needed, when it's an emergency, you will jump in. A lot of places they do fire drills. Why? They just want to learn how to respond in the case of a fire. So you too, as you are there, learn the skills that you need so that in case you need to step in and cook, you are ready and you have the tools to do it. Don't be like, I'll help my wife any day. Don't be like, I'll pitch in any day, and yet you don't know how. And yet you don't know how to do laundry properly. You don't even know how to turn the machine on. You don't know how the vacuum cleaner works. You don't know how to make simple stew. You don't know how to put together a simple meal. That is not safe. Nobody is asking for women to be sick. Let's just say your wife has to go for an important conference for 4 days. Just because she can't cook, she can't go. Because if she goes, the children will be in big trouble. Or she has to find a way to find somebody to come and help. That is way too much. It is much simpler if you are able to step in. We are not saying start cooking all the meals by yourself. We are not saying start cleaning all by yourself. We are not saying that we are going to split it down the middle. Please stop being so dramatic when we talk about help. We just want you to be equipped enough that when you need to, you can jump in. I know that some women may try to cheat by making you do a whole lot of work and pretending that they can't do stuff because they think, oh, you know how to do it and you do it. But think of it this way: whatever you do for your family, you're doing for God. If you're able to step in and help, that's a plus. But we are not also saying that you should take on all the tasks so that you too will be overburdened. We are not driving it all the way to the left. We are saying meet us in the middle. Learn the skills that will help you help us when the need arises. A lot of you have demanding jobs. You go to work Monday to Friday, or you go to work whatever your schedule is. But remember, you always have off days. You either have the weekend off or you have 2 days off. You do have off days, but taking care of the family, there are no off days. So your wife has no days. No matter what, she will need you somewhere. Just for the fact that you hold the baby for 2 hours, you play with the baby for 2 hours, or you take the toddler to soccer practice, or do something to help. Don't act like when you walk through the door, you're done. You brought a fat paycheck. That's your contribution. Being a father is not only about providing financially. You need to provide physically. You need to provide emotionally. There's a whole lot of things in there. So please don't act like we just need the money. When you throw the money on the table, everything is solved. You cannot send the money to the market. It is human being who take that money. So please, when we say help, pitch in. Don't act like we are saying that come and take care of everything in the household. Come and take care of all the chores. No, we're just saying pitch in. And also, for you to be able to pitch in, you need to be plugged in. You need to know what is going on in the home. To be very honest with you, if you always wait for your wife to ask you to do something, technically you haven't done anything. She's just asking you for help. And it means that you're acting like it's her job and she's bringing you on board just to help. No. That home belongs to the two of you. So you should be invested. You should know what is going on such that you know when to jump in. Nobody has to come and call you to come and help, or nobody has to teach you what to do to help. Know the schedule of your children. Know the day-to-day happenings in your home so that in case your wife is unable to pick the children up, you know where to go to pick the children up. Some of you will even drive to the wrong schools because you don't even know where your wives pick their kids from. Please know the schedule of the family so that in case you are needed, you can jump in and you can help. Don't act like you bring the fat paycheck, so it's none of your business. Be invested and be active. And just before we end, I'd like to answer Sister Amma's question. She said, what makes you a bad woman? What makes you a bad woman is not following your society's guidelines. They will call you a bad woman, but you need to do better for yourself. You need to define for yourself who a good woman is. Our time is fast spent, so maybe another time we will take our time and digest or go through what a good woman. In fact, next week, let's meet same time. We'll talk about who is a good woman or what makes you a bad woman. We'll just put it together and we'll talk about it. Thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you picked a thing or two. You're welcome to leave feedback by texting, and you're welcome to join us next week, same time at 6 p.m. for another edition of Let's Talk Marriage on GH Gospel Radio. Until we meet again, may God bless your marriage, and don't forget that it takes a good Christian to have a good Christian marriage. Thank you so much and have a blessed week. Bye-bye.